My parents were they grew up poor in the Bronx, my grandparents. And that's why my last name has a Y. Because it's Kahane. But my grandfather couldn't get a job as a longshoreman, so they put the Y on the end, and it sounds Irish. Corey Kahane, put a fine Irish smile on that face, will you?
My grandmother told me that I should only date Jewish guys because they make the best lovers. And I bought this. I swear to God, for years I only dated Jewish guys, and then finally I started dating a few Gentiles. Just see what it's like. All right, I lied. I ran out of Jews. So I started dating the Gentile. Boy, it's so different, you know, dating the Jews and the Gentiles. Did you know, for example, when you go out with a Gentile, they never tell you how much the meal cost after a date? Have you ever heard of this? I mean, Jews let you know exactly where you stand. Remember, years ago, I used to date this guy, Sheldon. Oh, he was tricky. He was very slick. He'd always find a way to let me know how much the meal cost. One time, he slid the check across the table. He goes, "Hey, Corey, help me figure out the tip." I said, "Sheldon, you went to MIT." But you go with the Gentiles, they never tell you how much the meal costs. And I don't know about you, dear, but if I don't know how much the meal costs, then I don't know how much to put out. You go out with the Gentiles, so you're doing algebra in your head. Okay, so help me. What I have? I had the chicken. Okay. And that was $15.95. All right, so I guess I got to touch it. I never know if I'm doing it right. Stop. I'm telling you, I'm convinced any woman who's ever performed oral sex after a date is probably thinking to herself, shouldn't have ordered the lobster. I have a gay sister. I do have a gay, which has been great for me because my parents have forgiven me everything. I'm not, at this point, if I brought home a dwarf with a mohawk, 6 tattoos and a nose ring, as long as he's a penis, he can stay for dinner. And they'll call him son. And my mother was so upset. She was like, "Oh my God, I'll never dance at her wedding." And my father was like, "Shut up, we just saved 50 grand.
If you were making a good enough joke, you could make fun of anybody in the family. You could make fun of the person that was cruel to you. You could make fun of the person who was cheap. You could make fun of the person who was mean. But as long as you did it with humor, they'd be like, you know what? She could get away with it because it's funny.
As long as it wasn't too mean. Right. You have to. There's a fine line.
I tend to cross it.
Yeah. I think the best thing you could possibly do is to get them to laugh at something that makes them uncomfortable, right? Because then it's like you've taken them one step further than just laughing. It's that's the best part for me.
Right.
If they laugh at something that would automatically make them uncomfortable.
Wow, my career is smoking. Finally get to play the Kung Pao Kosher Comedy Night. I never thought this would happen. This is so exciting. I love my job. I really, not because I like telling jokes or performing. I like the hours. Honestly, look at it. I just started. I'm almost done. This is a fabulous job. Who else has a job like this? My parents are here tonight. It's too much. They're always following me around. You know, my parents, they stayed in my apartment last month, which is such a nightmare because I don't get high anymore and I don't know how to entertain them. So, no, I don't know. They sit there on the couch. I don't know what to say. And then, have you ever had this happen? You just have like a moment in your life where you realize you're growing up to be just like your parents? Oh my God, I'm watching TV with my father late at night because he doesn't sleep. And you know that commercial for Save the Children? The one that comes on really late, where the lady goes, "For the price of a cup of coffee, 67 cents a day." My father and I are both sitting there thinking the exact same thing. Where can you get coffee for 60? What are they talking about? Even it's 95 cents. This lady's crazy. And it's a very sensitive topic because last year my father adopted one of the Save the Children, which is so annoying because now every time I complain, he compares me to his adopted child. I'm not kidding. He's like, what's the matter with you? Why can't you be like your sister Shashumba? You don't see that Shashumba complaining. Shashumba dug an irrigation ditch for a whole village last week. What did you do? She sucks. I hate her. I'm serious. I'm not going to be her pen pal anymore. Speaking of starving, so I'm on this. I actually just lost 6 pounds. Yeah, ask me how I did it. I did the eat right and exercise routine. Ask me how long it took. 2 years! Oh my God. Healthy living blows. You know what? I did it really slowly because they say, if you go on a diet, that's the worst thing. It's terrible for you. What's wrong with dieting? I remember when dieting was very popular. And it worked. You remember the 80s? You're old enough to remember the 80s, right? You and me. You know this diet, I love this. They don't have it anymore. It was the Fresca, M&Ms, and cocaine diet. That was a great diet. But you can't do that anymore, Can't find Fresca. And they say the whole key is exercise. I don't have time for that. I'm very busy. I signed up for yoga. I did. I signed because anybody else yoga? Yeah. Well, we're in San Francisco. What do you expect? I signed up for yoga because I heard you get to do the exercises laying down. What a ripoff. First of all, it's hard. Second of all, I didn't know it was going to be so spiritual. Oh my God, it's so spiritual. They want you to meditate. I can't do anything too spiritual. As soon as it gets too spiritual, I think there's going to be Kool-Aid at the end and we're all going to die. I don't like spiritual. And then, they'll give you a choice. They talk you through the meditation. The lady's like, clear your mind of all thoughts. And the second she says that, all these crazy thoughts come pouring in. Like, why does it take so long for an out-of-state check to clear? Nebuchadnezzar, was he a good king? Was he a bad king? Is it wrong to use those return address labels without donating to the charity? How do you concentrate? They give me such a hard time. They can't understand why I'm not married. My father's like, I can't figure it out. Look at her. She's gorgeous. She looks just like Grandma. No, they mean it in a good way, ma'am. No, they do. Apparently, when my grandmother was a young girl, she won a beauty contest. Yeah, of course, it was in Poland.
Jewish women are proud of who they are. And it's a very matriarchal society. I mean, we think that the men are important, but the truth is they just write the checks.
My mother says the stupidest things, like she's not even on the planet. She called me up, she's like,
Corey, darling, sweetheart, why didn't you give up the struggle, dear, and just marry a rich man?
like, why didn't I think of this?
Why don't you just marry a rich, like they're lining up, right? They definitely screw with our self-confidence and somehow sharing it with the audience. Look, this is what my mother said. When I got my period, she said, it's a gift from God. And I said, can't we return it? I mean, we endear ourselves to the audience by saying, this is what I had to grow up with. Did you?
I got a phone call. This was funny. My sister called me. She goes, she just started therapy. And I have nothing against therapy. I'm in therapy 9 years. Not because I have the greatest therapist. It's just the longest relationship I've ever been in. So I said, oh, that's great. You're in therapy. She said, well, I just think I should let you know. I confronted Mommy.
about the lunches. I said, the lunches? She goes, yeah. I said, what lunches? She goes, you know, the fact that she never made our lunch. I said, oh, the lunches. See, now me, I would have started with the beatings, but... I think for Jewish females, you know, love, sex, food, mothers, they're all common threads. And to be honest with you, I think they're common threads with all women. But, you know, we just are more gutsy about sharing it.